We inadvertently listed the wrong subrecipient initially, and when it was brought to our attention, we sought to make an administrative change, which we could not do, and so thus requiring it to come back before you for another vote. It's the administration's error. We extend our apologies for making it, but time to time we are going to be in error, but we acknowledge it.
That was Ann Arbor City Administrator Milton Dohoney on October 20th, 2025, explaining why City Council had to rescind an agreement directing $560,000 in federal funds it had approved just 2 weeks earlier. This is Few Things Considered from A2 Council Update. On October 6, 2025, Ann Arbor City Council unanimously approved an agreement directing federal funds to local labor unions UA 190 and IBEW 252. Shortly after that vote, the community learned that Councilmember Jen Eyer had received $65,000 in payments from one of the unions named in that agreement. IBEW 252 is a client of Jen Eyer's consulting business, Eyer Consulting. In 2020, Jen Eyer campaigned for a seat on Ann Arbor City Council.
I have budget experience going back many organizations, the county board as commissioner, to a large organization like MLive, where I was a director, to the Dickin PTO and the co-op preschool where I served as president for both organizations, and currently to my small business. And that experience will be put to good use.
In a flurry of mailers and digital ads, she promoted herself as a small business owner, emphasizing that she would lead ethically and follow all ethics rules. During that campaign, she also claimed to be the victim of slander. She declared that how a person campaigns is how they will govern, and boasted that she would govern with grace, dignity, truthfulness, and respect. A few months after winning a seat on Ann Arbor City Council, Eyer's business, Vanguard Public Affairs, made headlines when her partner, TJ Buchholz, was accused of sexual harassment. Blogs and news outlets reported that the Lansing PR firm was a toxic work environment for young women. Several former employees of Vanguard publicly accused Jen Eyer of enabling her partner's behavior. She claimed to have no knowledge of it and disputed the accounts of multiple women. As the scandal blew up, Eyer announced she was leaving Vanguard to strike out on her own. She told MLive that she was never actually a co-owner of Vanguard, and admitted that statements she had included on all of her campaign messaging, online and in print, were not true. She announced plans to become a small business owner, consulting out of her home. Just 4 months after being elected to Ann Arbor City Council, Jen Eyer founded her own consulting firm called Eyer Consulting. In promoting that business, she advertises herself as a member of Ann Arbor City Council and takes credit for the city's contracting policy. For years, Eyer also emphasized her business as promoting labor unions. That phrase was recently edited out of her website. Labor unions are required to report annual expenditures over $5,000 to the Federal Office of Labor Management Standards. According to those reports, Eyer Consulting has received over $127,000 in payments from labor unions IBEW 665 and IBEW 252. IBEW 252 has paid Eyer Consulting over $65,000. For IBEW 252, Eyer Consulting manages their Facebook page, developed an Android Google app, and reportedly worked on campaigns and websites. During her 2020 campaign for City Council, Jen Eyer received a donation from Dr. Missy Stoltz, director of Ann Arbor's Office of Sustainability and Innovations.
I've had many discussions with Dr. Stoltz and others about the A20 plan. And as I understand, next year's activities are they're going to center all around residential conversion to energy efficiency. This is really exciting work, and council can do its part by continuing to provide the funding for the work to continue.
5 months after Eyer took office, the Office of Sustainability and Innovations announced a collaboration with IBEW 252 for the A20 program. The city established its own page on the IBEW 252 website. That website puts the city and the 820 program front and center. A dedicated page promotes their collaboration with the city, including city logos, while also advertising IBEW 252 contractors. The page invites viewers to follow the Facebook account that Jen Eyer manages through Eyer Consulting. The IBEW 252 Facebook account, managed by Eyer, regularly boasts about its connection to the city and participation in city programs. Since 2022, IBEW 252 has been named as a partner in annual reports for the city's A20 plan. In 2022, MLive published a story about city leaders and their commitment to climate action. As part of her commitment to climate action, Councilmember Eyer explained that she was working on a video series for IBEW. That work was actually a city campaign. 820 featured on the IBEW 252 website, promoting its contractors alongside city logos and linking to the Facebook account managed by Eyer Consulting. Council first voted on federal grant money for the geothermal district in 2023. A staff memo lists all entities involved, including IBEW 252, just ahead of the UA 190. On October 6, 2025, federal grant money for the geothermal district was on the City Council agenda again. IBEW 252 was listed among participants, just as it was in 2023, right before UA 190. On the same agenda, IBEW 252 was named in an agreement as part of an LLC receiving $560,000 of those federal funds. The LLC is the grantee in a subrecipient agreement with the City of Ann Arbor. At the table, Councilmember Jen Eyer offered the only comment advocating for it.
Discussion, please, of DC 5. Sorry, Councilmember Eyer.
Thank you. Just a very brief comment that pointing out what this is. It's so important as we are moving towards new technologies like geothermal that we are supporting the folks who have been doing the work to heat our community for all of these many, many decades in transitioning their skills into the skills of the future. And so this part of it is really important in that sense, making sure that we have what we call a just transition so that we're not leaving the workers that we have relied on for so many years behind, but making sure that we are helping bring them along and train them for future jobs.
All in favor? All opposed? It is approved.
She did not disclose her association with IBEW 252 or the $65,000 she had received from them working on their behalf. She did not recuse herself from the vote. Ann Arbor City Council rules list conflicts of interest as ethics rule number 1. A public servant cannot be a direct or indirect party to a public contract with the city. Michigan state law is clear. A public servant cannot take any part in a contract with an entity that employs them, including approval of that contract. A public servant must promptly disclose a conflict of interest with a public contract, and that contract must be approved without their vote. The Ann Arbor City Charter also explains that members of council cannot vote on questions where they have a financial interest other than the general public interest. Council Ethics Rule 4 directs that council members ask to be excused from votes when they have any personal relationship with the matter at issue that would impact their independent judgment or create a conflict of fiduciary duties. Just 3 weeks before Jen Eyer voted on the $560,000 grant agreement, Mayor Christopher Taylor illustrated exactly how this happens before stepping away from the council table.
Sometimes we, people at council, when they have a financial interest or a potential financial interest, do request the leave to be recused from the vote. QM is a client for which I do work, and so I would request council's acquiescence in stepping down. This really goes with respect to CA2 and CA10, but I guess we'll deal with CA10 when the time comes. We have a motion, moved by Radina, second by Dish. Discussion, all in favor? Opposed? I'm recusing. Councilman Radina.
When Councilmember Eyer's conflict of interest related to IBEW 252 was identified, she initially claimed that the LLC on the grant agreement was a wholly separate legal entity from the IBEW 252 that pays her consulting fees. She asserted that the city attorney had confirmed this. Her statement was published in MLive. Eyer told MLive that she did not know the purpose of the LLC that was awarded $560,000. MLive reported that the IBEW 252 owns a 50% stake in that LLC. Neither Eyer nor the city attorney have addressed the fact that the IBEW 252 lists the LLC partnership as an asset. In other words, they are not wholly separate entities. The entity that has paid Councilmember Eyer over $65,000 is actually a partner and 50% owner of the LLC that Eyer voted to approve as a grantee for $560,000 in federal funds. 6 city staffers participated in the preparation, review, and approval of the agreement that awarded $560,000 to the UA 190 IBEW 252 partnership. None of them recognized or were aware that IBEW 252 was a client of Eyer Consulting. 2 days after the first article, MLive published a follow-up article in which the agreement approved on October 6th was characterized as a mistake. Dr. Missy Stoltz, director of the city's Office of Sustainability and Innovations, took responsibility, claiming that the grant should have been awarded to the pipe fitters union UA 190 alone. Awarding it to the LLC that included IBEW 252 was, according to Dr. Stoltz, an error. The business manager for IBEW 252 confirmed this explanation, asserting that his union never expected to receive grant money related to the geothermal district, though it planned to be involved in other activities in the neighborhood. Speaking to MLive, Councilmember Eyer has claimed that when she voted on October 6th, she knew that the federal grant funds were never intended for her client, IBEW 252. If so, she did not share that information at City Hall. On social media, Dr. Stoltz has explained that the problem was not identified until Monday, October 13th. Ahead of the October 20th council meeting, 2 of Jen Eyer's council colleagues supported her explanations. Council members Erica Briggs and Dharma Ackman repeated the claim that the LLC and IBEW 252 were entirely separate legal entities, and there was no conflict of interest. At the meeting on October 20th, the original agreement was rescinded in order to remove any reference to IBEW 252. City Administrator Milton Dohoney offered the only comment.
We inadvertently listed the wrong subrecipient initially. It's the administration's error. We extend our apologies for making it, but time to time we are going to be in error, but we acknowledge it.
A new agreement was approved unanimously without Councilmember Eyer's vote because she was absent. If you'd like to see more content like this, like and subscribe.